Every member of Captain Kirk's family in Star Trek, James T. Kirk, the legendary starship captain of the USS Enterprise, is known across the galaxy for his daring missions, sharp intellect, and uncanny knack for getting into and out of trouble. While fans often focus on his adventures in space, the man behind the Starfleet uniform has a surprisingly rich and sometimes complicated family history. From his parents to extended relations, Kirk's lineage has played a subtle but notable role in shaping the man who would become a Starfleet legend. George Samuel Kirk Sr., the patriarch, Captain Kirk's father, George Samuel Kirk Sr., is the strong moral anchor of the Kirk family. A career Starfleet officer and a man of principle, George's life exemplified courage and duty, traits he passed down to James. While George Sr. is mentioned sporadically in the original series, his character is explored more in novels and later series, revealing a man devoted to both his family and Starfleet ideals. Kirk inherited his sense of adventure and strategic brilliance in no small part from his father. Interestingly, George S.R.'s military career wasn't without peril. In expanded universe stories, he faces morally complex situations that mirror some of the challenges James would later encounter in command, highlighting a legacy of courage and resilience. This subtle foreshadowing reminds fans that heroism is often inherited as much as earned. Winona Kirk, the matriarch. Winona Kirk, James' mother, is less frequently depicted but no less important. She embodies compassion, intelligence, and a deep sense of morality, qualities that Kirk carries with him even in the most cutthroat corners of the galaxy. Though the original series rarely delves into maternal figures, expanded lore portrays Winona as an anchor for her children, fostering their curiosity and empathy. Her influence is evident in Kirk's diplomacy skills and his occasional tendency to act on instinct when defending the vulnerable. Winona's role extends beyond nurturing. She also represents the emotional foundation that allows Kirk to confront moral dilemmas with both courage and heart. In many ways, Winona balances George S.R.'s disciplined influence, creating a family dynamic that nurtures both intellect and conscience. George Samuel Kirk Jr., the older brother. Few fans may realize that James Kirk had an older brother, George Samuel Kirk Jr., often called George Jr. He is depicted in various episodes and films, notably Star Trek 2009, where he sacrifices his life heroically aboard the USS Kelvin. This act profoundly shapes James' character, instilling in him a sense of responsibility, courage, and a personal understanding of sacrifice. George Jr.'s death is more than a narrative device. It anchors Kirk's emotional depth. Knowing what it means to lose someone close fuels his protective instincts and often explains his fierce loyalty to the crew of the Enterprise. It's a reminder that leadership in Starfleet is not just about strategy and tactics. It's about heart, something Kirk learned from the loss of his brother. And Kirk, the forgotten sibling. In some non-canonical literature, James is said to have had a sister named Anne Kirk. Though she is rarely referenced in televised or cinematic canon, her inclusion in extended lore provides insight into Kirk's family dynamics beyond the male-dominated world of Starfleet, and represents the civilian perspective that Kirk occasionally struggles with, reminding fans that even Starfleet captains come from ordinary, relatable families with hopes, fears, and ambitions beyond the stars. Other relatives. Expanding the Kirk universe. Beyond his immediate family, James Kirk has a tapestry of relatives that enrich the Star Trek universe. Nephews, nieces, and distant cousins appear sporadically in various episodes, novels, and comic books, often serving as moral or narrative touchstones. They illustrate that Kirk's leadership and heroism are not just personal traits, they are part of a familial legacy of courage, curiosity, and ethical responsibility. One interesting relative is David Marcus, the son of Kirk's close friend and sometimes adversary, Dr. Leonard M. C. Coy, in some expanded lore reinterpretations. While not directly a blood relative, Kirk's role as a mentor and surrogate family figure to David mirrors his own familial experiences, showing how the Kirk family's values extend beyond biology, legacy, and influence. The Kirk family, though not always at the forefront of the story, deeply informs Captain Kirk's personality, ethics, and decision-making. George S.R.'s discipline, Winona's empathy, George Jr.'s sacrifice, and the peripheral influence of extended relatives all shape a man capable of extraordinary leadership under pressure. Star Trek storytelling subtly underscores the idea that great leaders are products of their upbringing, molded not just by personal experience, but also by the lessons and examples set by family. Kirk's family also reminds viewers that even in a future dominated by technology and interstellar diplomacy, human connections remain central. His parents' guidance, his brother's sacrifice, and the moral framework instilled by his family underpinned the courage and resourcefulness that define one of Starfleet's most celebrated captains. In